Hello students, welcome back. We are about to begin with the 11th session of Communicative. By far, I have discussed on the skills of reading. You have been brushed up on the knowledge of analyzing, paraphrasing, interpretation, summarization, and even translation. Now we are about to begin with the writing skill. Writing, what is writing? Writing is writing. No. Writing is when you think, when you go through the stage of ideation, you come to a point where you think that you have a launching and you can launch your topic and start writing. Because and sometimes I have seen answer sheets, like even in assignment, even in the sessions, I've seen students started writing. They take up the question paper and they start writing. This is, don't take a desperate plunge. Take time, think over, think of a good introduction. Start your answers with a definition, with some quotation. So, unless and until you give your some time, think on dedicate some time on ideation, you won't be able to reach that stage. Writing is nothing but clarity on a sheet of paper. How clearly you think, and then how you represent your ideas. But there are three things which are really very important. And before we begin, I must tell you these three. First and foremost, you must know the language, the grammar, the spelling, and last but not the least, punctuation is really very important. Punctuation plays a vital role. Now, as far as the length of the sentence is concerned, there is no rule. But then it's like 15 to 18 words makes a normal sentence. And so it goes with the paragraph. Even you can go with around 15 to 18 sentences, makes an ideal paragraph. You must see to it that you make proper division. Like if you talk about the paragraph, if you talk about the writing skill, when do you change a paragraph? Because one has become too lengthy, so that is why I'll change to the next one. No. What happens is we change a paragraph when we shift from one idea to another. Like suppose the other day I was telling you about writing something on population explosion. Generally, people will start writing with population explosion is a situation where the population increases in geometrical progressions and the available resources increase in arithmetical. Now, after giving a brief introduction, you change because you are coming to the body of the paragraph. Now, one paragraph on why does population increase? What are the factors for population increase? Then what are the side effects of population increase? So these are certain things that you will be covering in the consecutive paragraphs. So you need to decide in what paragraph are you going to put what phrase, and then a proper denouement or a conclusion. The body, the conclusion, and the introduction are properly divided into paragraphs. Writing is very important because you have to launch a topic, you have to explain a topic, and then you have to give a proper denouement to conclusion. Okay? Now I have told you that you need to have good writing skills. But in this unit, or rather this topic, I'm even going to tell you how to improve your writing skills. Okay, so we'll begin. I'll share the notes. As I've already told you, you can use them as primary source or secondary source. But base it because these notes are the final, maybe it's not a final, but it is the basic source for you because they have been designed according to your syllabus. So I'll begin the share. Writing skills are an important part of communication. Like very initially, I told you that any person who learns language in four stages, LSRW, listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Writing comes in the end. But writing is an important skill. Because if you're communicating orally, you have this liberty that you can always come back and explain. You can repeat. You can explain what is difficult. You can, judge the person when you are in a face-to-face communication. You can judge the non-verbal communication of the person sitting in front of you. But when you are doing writing, you should be very careful. Why? Because you cannot give clarity to the audience like you do on face-to-face communication or in a telephonic conversation or in a video or in an interactive session. For example, if you take the example of notes, like if I'm taking the lecture in the class or I'm sharing my views on this session, so you have this liberty that you can ask me if it's an interactive session. But once I give you the notes, do you have this liberty? If I, for example, if I author a book and you buy that book, do you have that liberty that you can have the author standing in beside you or sitting in front of you? So wheresoever you feel a problem, the author will explain. No. So while writing, you have to be more precise, more concise, and more planned. Planning in writing is very important. You have to, at any cost, go through the stage of ideation. You cannot take a desperate plunge. You cannot write anything that you fancy upon in any way as you wish like. It is not possible. Like, for example, if you are writing your resume or a CV. Now, resume is written for, say, academic purposes. Like, for example, if I need to apply for a scholarship, then I'll write a resume. And if I'm supposed to apply for a job, I write a CV, that is curriculum detail. They are written entirely in different ways. If you have any queries regarding this, you can put it in the comment box. I'll come back to you with an additional session on this. I can give an additional session on how to write a resume and CV in a very better way. But you have to make sure that you don't make grammatical errors. In case you make grammatical errors, then the person sitting in front of you, rather reading the CV or the resume, won't carry a very good impression. Spellings even matter. Spelling mistakes, there's slight mistakes. You have to read your CV and your resume or your writing very carefully because if auto spell check is a benefit, it is even a snap sham sometimes. The spelling gets auto corrected. A number of times I type messages on WhatsApp, and when I send it, I go through them, I realize that there is a big spelling mistake. But I remember I wrote it rightly, I typed it rightly. But then the auto spell check makes correction according to its whims and fancies, and the message becomes something else. So you have to see to it that when you are using technology, you must make sure that there has nothing changed in writing. What you have said. It was what you wanted to say. And I have already told you, the three similar things can only make a communication effective. What I thought, what I wrote, what the reader read and understood. If all the three things are similar, then you have reached the effective communication. Now, if I'm telling you that you need to improve your writing skills, I will even share my views on how to improve your writing skills. Brush up on the basic principles of writing, the grammar and the spelling. Yes, we all need to revise the basic grammar structure. We cannot know everything. Come on, I'm not a pansophist who thinks that I know it all. I don't know. In number of times there happens when there is a sense of confusion in the spelling. I write it on a sheet of paper on a rough page, and then I see which spelling is right. Like I came across when I was in school. I once wrote PRACTICE practice. My mom said it's a spelling mistake. I said, nah, practice PRACTICE practice. Practice. The spelling is right. But she said, Archana, you are using a noun in place of a verb. Now you have to understand when you are using a verb, it is PRACTISE practice. And when you are using a noun, it is PRACTICE practice. The difference is of S and C. One is a verb and one is a noun. Schedule and schedule. You might find two different spellings. But These spellings are even according to the American and the British. Like color, 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 COLOUR, color. You'll find these two different spellings. But you have to know the grammar behind it, the root behind it. As I told you earlier, even that before using a word, just see to the history of the word. Suppose, uh, yeah, last time I gave you an example of nice. Nice means good, but couple of centuries back it means foolish. It meant foolish. So you have to brush up on your spellings and grammar. Let's write like it's your job and practice regularly. When you're writing, when you are trying to attempt on writing, make sure that you write like a professional. Yes, you have to write like a professional person. You must not consider yourself a tyro or a novice. Tyro or novice is a beginner. The person who's beginner is known as a novice or a tyro. TYRONOVICE, novice. Consider yourself. Put yourself in a very professional position and then write. Okay? Find a partner. Ask them to read your writing and provide feedback. N number of students in my teaching career have come to me with their writings to seek opinion, how they have written on the rhyme, the rhythm, and the grammar, the spelling, the structure, and the plot, and everything. You must find a partner. You can always consult your teachers, even they're always available. Please write. Writing broadens your horizon. As a young child, a person should practice on writing on small things like my vacation, my visit to the zoo, a visit to the zoo, or a visit to a historical place. When you go somewhere, you must write on a sheet of paper. And you know what? If you are feeling like writing something, always write it then and there. If you skip that moment, the same feelings will never come back. Make a partner who can, read not only your writing, but can even give a proper feedback. Because feedback is really very important. Unless and until somebody knows what are his drawbacks, the person won't be able to improve. Join a workshop, meet up, or take a writing night class. So many courses are available online. You can join a workshop. Even there are so many workshops often conducted, additional courses that are provided by so many institutions in late evening. Take time and analyze the writing you admire. Now, don't just read because you admire something. Now, you have to even understand that you must find the points. What makes you admire that piece of writing? Analyze, do some self analysis, and then come to a conclusion that this is what I admire this writing for. Take, learn from that. I'm not asking you to copy the content, the language, the diction. What I'm trying to teach you is try to learn the style so that you can even express yourself in a better way. Imitate writers you admire. There is no point in imitating. There is no point in having a mentor. You may admire somebody, you may like somebody's writing skills, admire them, imitate them. If you wish, you can copy them. Don't copy the content. You'll come into the category of plagiarism. Outline your writing. As I told you, you must outline. You must think of a proper introduction, a proper body, and a proper conclusion. Unless and until you have a good, valid point, a very catchy beginning in your hand, please don't begin writing. That doesn't mean that you'll spend 3 hours on thinking and you leave out your exam. Be well prepared. For what if this topic comes? I will begin my answer with this. Be well prepared. Edit your writing. Leave it after writing your work. Leave it for a few days. Come back after a couple of days. You'll have a fresh perspective. Edit like a professional. Check like a teacher. Accept that first drafts are often bad and need revision. There is no harm in revising your own work. You are actually not editing, you are making it better. And what's the harm in making something better? You can always edit your first draft. First drafts are meant to be edited. Find an editor who demonstrates patience. For example, if you're writing a book and you feel like that you have come to your saturation, you cannot go beyond this point, then find an editor who demonstrates patience. You might be know some. You might know somebody from your past experience, or you can even contact somebody who's a professional. If your book is already under the surveillance of some publishing house, they can even arrange for an editor. Eliminate unnecessary words from your writing. Don't put the cluttered lot there. Don't believe in cluttering of words. Be very specific. Remove the unnecessary ones because too many objectives, even and repetition, even sometimes disappears. Lets the appeal disappear. The disappear evaporates in the thin air. Don't use cluttering. Review your earlier work and see how you've grown. Read your first story. Read your first poem. Read your second, the third, and so on. And read the last one. Have you grown as an individual? Have you grown as a writer? Is there any kind of improvement in your writing? Yes, there is because you have matured as a person. Your perspective has matured. Even your language is improved. Don't be afraid to say what you mean in what you write. Don't be afraid. Don't be diplomatic. Don't be manipulative with words. Write what you feel like, what you don't mean. Don't be afraid. Write what you are feeling about. It's your fundamental right. You can write anything, but see to it that you are graceful enough, you are subtle enough. Subtle means classy. You're classy enough. You don't hurt the sentiments of the people because it's a secular country. It doesn't mean you'll do anything, use anything, hurting people's sentiments and emotions. Please don't do that. But don't be afraid to put forward your opinion. That's what I'm telling you. Don't be afraid to put your opinion forward. But of course, don't put it in a very blunt way. Don't put it in a way that you hurt people. Make sure you do adequate research on your topic before writing. You must read a lot. If you're writing a project, see to it that you go through primary and the secondary data at a good length. If you're writing a research paper, see to it that you have at least done some ROL, review of literature. You must review literature. You must do adequate research. And last but not least, don't delay writing. Get it down now. As I told you, carry a rough sheet with yourself. Carry a copy with you if you have. It is very important that you write because once if you skip the moment, it doesn't comes back to you in the same perspective. You'll you'll miss the train you're on. So the thought process is coming to your mind. You must jot it down. Maybe you have a small sheet of paper or a rough sheet or a back of some important document you can write and then rub it off later, copying down in your own journal. Make a journal of your poems, of your stories, of your thoughts that you go through. Your generation has this benefit of writing blogs. You can even create a blog for yourself, right? You must practice. Don't think that it's only prerogative of the writers. They can only write. Who are writers? People amongst us are writers because they have expressed themselves. You can even express yourself. You must work on your writing skills. Don't think I am not a professional. I may sound my writing will be very plain. Begin with something somewhere because you have to give a start. Start is more important. Now that we are moving to the other topic, it's formal letters. What are the rules for formal letters? Now, in English, there are a number of conventions that should be used when writing a formal or business letter. Furthermore, You try to write as simple, as clearly as possible, and not to make the letter longer than necessary. As I've already told you, the technical communication works on the format of KISS. Keep it short and sweet. Remember not to use informal language like contractions. Now, you are not supposed to use informal language when you are making a formal written communication. Formal written communication involves and asks for a lot of precision. You have to be very precise. Write long stories. Letters are not stories. They have to be very precise and concise. But don't leave out important things. Be grammatically correct. The spellings definitely matter. You have to again divide your letter into three parts. That is the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. Proper salutation. Now, as far as salutation is concerned, we'll discuss it later. The first and the foremost thing that you need to understand is the address. It comes on the top right corner, but if you are supposed to write in a block format, then the address should be written on the top left corner. The sender's address comes first. Who is writing the letter? For example, I am writing a letter to somebody named called Samira. Now, I am Archana and she is Samira. So, Dr. Archana Durgesh, then my address, maybe my email ID or my phone number, and then leaving one place, I will write Samira's name, address, phone number. And then I'll put the date and I'll start with the salutation. Now, the address you are writing to should be written on the left if you are writing in the non-block format, but if you are writing in the block format, then everything comes to the left. But if you are supposed to write a letter, if you are not told that you are supposed to write in block format, then the return address, that is the sender address, comes to the right, and the receiver address comes to the left. Why? Because the letter is folded in such a way that the window of the envelope focuses on the receiver's address. Now, below your address is written the date. Different people put different date on different sides of the page. You can write this on the right or on the left, or below the address where you're writing, write the month as a word, not as a number. If you say November 20th, then November. Okay? Salutation or greeting. Dear Madam Officer. Now, first and foremost, you must understand that dear here doesn't mean my dear. Dear here means respect. It's a term used with respect. Even in objective question, if you are asked, dear in dear sir oblique ma'am stands for, then it stands for respect. If you do not know the name of the person you're writing to, use this. It is always advisable to try to find out the name. But if you can find out the name of the individual, it will be great because finding the name of the individual really makes it very easy. For example, dear Mr. Jeffrey. If you know the name, use the title. Mr., Miss, Doctor, Professor, okay, and surname only. If you're writing to a woman, do not know if she uses Miss or Mrs. You can use Miss, which is for married and single. Don't bother. Don't try and find out whether the woman you are addressing to is married or unmarried. If she's a doctor, use doctor for the safer side. If she's a professor, use professor, PROF. But if you don't know whether the woman is married or an unmarried girl, then you can use MS. That stands for Miss. And it can be used interchangeably for both of them. But Mrs. cannot be used for both. Ending the letter. Yours faithfully. If if you don't know the name of the person, you're writing. Because you can, faithfully is used when you do not know the name of the person you are writing to. Then end this letter yours sincerely. If you know the name of the person, end the letter this yours sincere. Because you can only be sincere to the person you know, but you can be faithful to anybody. Okay? Then comes your signature. Sign your name and then print it underneath the signature. For example, if I am signing, then I should not only sign. Like for example, I'm signing here. This is my signature. But I should not only sign, I should even put my name in the bracket. Then print it underneath the signature. If you think the person you are writing, you know, not know whether you are male or female, put your title in bracket after your name. Miss, Mr. So that the person, like for example, Durgesh, Santosh, these are names I have come across where male and female both can use. But Archana is very clear that it's a female. Arpit is very clear. Abhishek is very clear. Kamal is not clear. Kamal can be a woman, even Kamal can be a man, even. Same goes with Durgesh. I find women who have been carrying the name of Durgesh Nandini. The first name is Durgesh. So, it creates a lot of difference. Santosh. These are such names which can create a confusion. But for at least names like Samar, Aman, Sahil, these names cannot create any confusion. Samaira, Samina, Arjuna, Priyanka, Ila, Ira, Vartika, they don't create any confusion. You very well know that they're clear. Okay? Official and business letters. Now, letter writing is, you have to, as I've already told you, work on the concept of this. You have to keep it short and sweet. Be very precise. Don't write story. Know the objective of your writing. What is the objective? Basically, official letters are written for exchanging official information, and business letters are written to exchange business information. Like, suppose if I need to tell you that you have been promoted to the position of CEO or, sorry, managing director, then that's an official information. I'll write you an official letter. But suppose I want to know that can you provide me with some software services? Then I'm supposed to write a business letter because I'm seeking a business information. If I'm writing a letter to the bank for granting me my checkbook, my passbook, my ATM, then that's the official letter. But if I am asking the bank to give me loan, then that is a business letter. To start up my business, that is a business letter. Subject. Official news and information are the main subject matters of this letter. Business letter is only commercial information. It's a subject matter. Now, if you talk about the business official letters, the news and information, if you want to give some news, some kind of notification, then you use official letters, like some official news or information. But if you are giving some commercial information, for example, if I am telling that you have not paid the remaining part, the amount of the payment that was supposed to be made by 15th of June, then I'm writing a business letter. Even the nature of the letter describes it. Official letter is fully office oriented. The nature is entirely official. There is nothing personal about it. There is no business involved. Like if I suppose if I issue you an show cause notice, that's so official. It is officially oriented. Business letter is commerce and trade oriented. For example, if I need to take permission from the government for some kind of import and export, then that is a business letter, and the nature is commerce and trade oriented. Method. Official method is indirect method, which is used in drafting this letter. In official letter, things are not put very directly. I would like to recommend. I don't say I recommend. In business letter, method is direct and persuasive. Direct and persuasive why? Because you have to persuade somebody to either give you some kind of service or buy your service. You have to be very persuasive but very direct. You cannot be indirect. You have to be very cut but very straightforward. Language. If you talk about the language of the letter, then official language is a bit traditional. Traditional office language is used. If you come across a number of business letters, they'll all sound and they seem so synonymous in terms of usage of language that it seems as if this language was set for the past 10 to 15, 20 years because it's a traditional language it is used. A business letter use technical and clear language, very clear, full of clarity. That half the payment will be made this before the uh, uh, delivery of the goods or service, and half after the delivery of the goods and service. Very clear, technical. That this is the this much is the ROM and RAM, and this is the storage capacity of the laptop that you are buying. This is the battery life. This is the warranty and the guarantee. For how many years will you get the guarantee and the warranty? It is very clear and very technical. The size. If you talk about the size of the official letter or a business letter, then size of the official letter is comparatively smaller because it doesn't create extra information. Whereas on the other hand, the size of the business letter may be small or medium in size. Like basically, as I've already told you, basically letters are small. But sometimes it can even have a detail, but it is never large, XL or double XL. It is always small or medium. The official correspondence, the business correspondence, the letters never have long stories, 2, 3 page long, no, unless and until they are processed. Clarity. Clarity, is very important, but it is comparatively a complex thing because you may not be able to express yourself very clearly. If you take a very difficult language, resort to simplicity, take up a simple writing. In this way, you can express your views very clearly. If you use a lot of difficult vocabulary, then the person won't be able to understand. Don't write circumlocutory structure. When you are defining the policies of your organization, be very crystal clear. Don't add unnecessary laws and clause and subclauses because it might create a lot of disturbance. Don't use too much of legal language. What if then else? Because if the person gets into the circumlocution, won't be able to understand what you are actually trying to say. Language has to be very clear and simple. The diction has to be very well placed. The grammar, the punctuation, because the punctuation even changes the meaning. Punctuation is very important. Yes, it changes the meaning. Like I'm going to tell you an example. A man and a woman were asked to define to were given a sentence structure, a same sentence, and they were asked to take out different meaning without changing the sequence of the word. Yes, and they were told that they can use punctuation, but they cannot change the structure of the sentence. The words cannot be the placement of the words cannot change. The sentence will remain the same. Now I'm going to tell you that sentence. A woman without her man is nothing. Now, I'm sharing the male's perspective. What did the male do? After writing a woman, he inserted a comma. A woman without her man, comma, is nothing. Now, that woman was asked to rewrite this sentence, but the catch was that the placement of the words should not change. So she removed the first comma, and instead of writing a woman comma, she wrote a woman colon. Now, by putting colon, it became a definition that now she is defining what a woman is. A woman without her, comma, man is nothing. Now, the male perspective was that without man, a woman is nothing. But the way woman defined a man, a woman, it meant that a woman is a person without whom man is nothing. So that is the beauty of the punctuation. You have to be very careful when you are using that. Okay. So clarity is That important. You have to be very clear when you are writing the spelling, the grammar, and the punctuation. Relation. Official letter relation, the writer's and the reader's relation is not considered. Like, for example, if I'm writing an official letter, I'm your boss and you're my employee, then relation is not taken into consideration. Because howsoever good we are related to, like maybe you are a colleague just junior to me and I share a very good rapport. We even share the carpool, maybe even come and go together. Our families even very close knit. We have weekend dinners together. We even plan a family outings together, maybe vacations together to some exotic places. We are very close to each other, just like kith and kin. But that doesn't mean that while writing a this official letter, I will get the relation come in between. The relation never comes in between. But in a business letter, personal relations are considered. Why? Because business is done on personal relations. You cannot say that I do business entirely on my own. Business is entirely dependent upon the relation, the rapport that you share. Relations in business matter a lot. Salutation. If you take in consideration the salutation, the official letter salutation may be used in this letter, like dear sir, dear Mr. Singh. Business letter, there must be a salutation in this letter. Official letter, there is no compulsion that you need to. But in a business letter, there must be a salutation. Unless and until you take up a salutation, you won't be able to write it. Complimentary. Official letters, complimentary clause may be omitted here. You know, you need not to use faithfully, sincerely. You may just write your name. But in business letter, complimentary clause is a necessity. If you know the person, as I've already told you, you use yours sincerely. If you don't know the name of the person, you use yours faithfully. Complementary clause is very important. In fact, it's necessary, indispensable, inevitable in the business drafting. Official letters are drafted. The drafting method of the official letter is written both in direct and indirect. You may draft the letter in a very direct manner. You may draft the official letter in a very indirect. But when it comes to drafting a business letter, you have to be very direct. You have to be very cut to cut, very straightforward. Because what come what may, relations are important in business because business, you are not doing business for once in a life. You are supposed to do business for all the coming years. You cannot say that I'll have business terms with this person for just once. You have to have it for a long period of time, maybe years, decades. It's not a matter of a fortnight. It's a matter of decades and centuries. The business runs like that. Business runs on personal relations. But you have to see to it that business even runs in direct communication. You cannot be indirect. You cannot be circumlocutory. You cannot be sometimes very, very polite. Sometimes you have to be strict with your language. You have to be cut to cut because that is how your business house works. You have to be very careful. Okay. So today we have thus discussed upon writing skills and how should you draft an official or a business letter. Drafting a letter is really very important because if you are corresponding with somebody, you have to make sure that nothing skips your mind. If the incomplete information goes to the person, then definitely the person won't be able to understand the information and take the right step forward. But you can come to know through feedback. But by time it might be too late. So make sure that before sending the letter or before pressing the send button, you must once or twice edit and see, read carefully what you have. Thank you so much for attending the session. We'll be back soon on report writing skills in my private session. See you soon. Stay fit, stay healthy, and devote some time to improving your writing skills because you are improving your communication skills every day. You are improving by reading. You must even improve your writing. And listening, don't forget, is really very important. Unless and until you listen carefully, you won't be able to communicate. Thank you so much. Take care. See you soon. Bye bye.